Welcome to the first edition of the Coach Thomas Howard Show. I am Sylvester Williams. They call me Sly The Sports Guy, and I am joined by the 28th head coach in Savannah State University history, Coach Thomas Howard. How you doing, Coach?
Man, doing great. Glad to be on here with you. Shoot, man, I want to welcome everybody to the Marsh.
Hey, man, we are glad to be here, glad to be in the Marsh. We have all of the Tiger world out there ready, interested, and waiting to talk with you, Coach, because it's finally here, Coach. It's finally here. It's football season. Your first season as the head coach of Savannah State University. How does it feel, Coach?
Man, it feels awesome. It has been a long road, but finally getting here, the excitement around the city of Savannah, man, I can't be more excited myself, man. The people are excited. Everywhere I go in town, people are talking and asking about the season. You know, shoot, they want to know everything else too, but we're going to say that till we start playing.
All right, now, Coach, when you look at Savannah State football right now, what do you think is the vision that you want people to see when they look at Savannah State football?
Yeah, when they see us, I want them to see a disciplined and very detailed football team. And that's what we've been talking about since day one when we got here. And so, you know, I also want them to be able to see some excitement and have fun and enjoy the game, because that's how I want these kids to play. But it starts with discipline and detail, and then all the other stuff kind of comes along with it as we go. But that's how we are going to kind of butter our bread as we get rolling.
Well, Coach, I'm glad you mentioned details and discipline, because we have a question. What we're going to do on the Coach Thomas Howard Show, we're going to check the comments from the previous shows. We're going to check the comments from the internet, and we're going to have people, if you want us to ask a question, you want us to ask something, leave a comment, leave something on my Twitter, that's Sly The Sports Guy. Leave something in the YouTube comments, the Facebook comments. Let us know, and we'll ask you a question. The first thing we have from T-Rock 1. T-Rock 1, he says, you have talked about discipline, details, fundamentals, and technique. How important are those four things as you begin building this program?
I think that's the building blocks for a quality football player, I think. And so that's why we talked about that, the discipline and details, but the fundamentals and techniques are what's going to carry you through when you get tired, when guys are at the end of the game and we got to finish, or even when you play against a team that may be a little bit better than you on paper, but you play with better fundamentals and techniques, and now you can pull out the game at the end of the game. So that's why we're going to build it on that. We're going to shock some people with that, just because our guys are going to be ready to play at the end of the game.
All right, now, Coach, for those who don't know, this is your first year here at Savannah State, so we want to give a little bit of your background, who you are. You know, you're a young man from Riverdale, Georgia, went to Riverdale High, if I'm correct, and then you played, huh?
I said no question.
Oh, there you go. Then you played defensive back at Morehouse. You were a two-time team captain. You graduated cum laude in 2003, so you're kind of smart. You know, your coaching journey, you included stops at Allen University, Slippery Rock, Lincoln University of Missouri, Findlay, North Carolina A&T, South Carolina State, Alabama A&M, Fayetteville State. Now, that was kind of your journey getting here. Now, if you could take us back to your playing days at Morehouse, you know, what did playing football and being a team captain teach you about leadership, Coach?
Oh, man, it was big. I think, you know, the crazy thing is when I got to Morehouse, they were coming off an 0-10 season when I was going in my freshman year. And so we had a really, really young team, and we had to build as we went. We finished 2-8 my freshman year, and in my junior year, we went 7-3. And it was a lot of it with the young guys on the team that we worked together. And it was like, hey, man, we're not going to keep taking L's. And we just worked our butts off to get better. And it's crazy becoming a team captain. One of the guys that I looked up to on our team was actually one of the guys that was like, hey, this is our defensive leader. This is a guy that should be a captain. So I got that opportunity as a junior, and it was just me being who I was as a football player and playing hard and playing with max effort and all of that stuff. I wasn't blessed with all the speed and the size and all of that great stuff, but I knew I could play hard. And so that was something that guys started to follow. And then again, you talked about, being cum laude. I guess that allowed them to think, well, hey, now we got a young dog we can throw up that when we need somebody to talk, we'll make him do it. And so it kind of allowed me to step out into the forefront and show some of that leadership that I had.
All right, now, Coach, you started your coaching career at Allen University. Now, this is the early 2000s. Allen tried to restart their football program. It was a tough time. Full disclosure, that's where I first met Coach. I was on his staff. I was my first and only coaching experience. I coached up under Coach Howard. How did those early days coaching at Allen kind of shape you, Coach?
I think it made me appreciate the game. All the things that we had to do just to build that program, and we didn't have anything, and we had to go do all of those outside things that most coaches now don't even think about. Cutting grass, lining field, picking up the rocks and the glass off the field that we were at. We actually had a little elementary school in a big field outside the elementary school. So a lot of people with their college coaching experience, that's not something they did. So, as the young boys say, we got it out the mud, and we definitely did that. And so it made me appreciate, as I've moved on through my career, going different places. And it's crazy how you keep in contact with all of those guys that I met that first year. I actually hired somebody on my staff this year here that played for us there at Allen during that time. So it's crazy how things come full circle and you still run into those same people. And even with being on this show and me and you being able to sit back and laugh and talk about it now, over 20 years later.
Man, I tell you, man, you went from Allen, you went to a couple of other places, but one of your major stops was at North Carolina A&T. Now, North Carolina A&T, you were a part of 4 Celebration Bowls, 4 HBCU national championships, 4 MEAC championships. That's that run that North Carolina A&T had. Now, what did you learn about being a champion on that run?
Man, it started with Rod Broadway and just the way that he went about business and how he demanded so much out of us as coaches. And I think that's something that has carried me a long way even after. And I learned from some great coaches coming up, but just the way he went about business, the demand that he put on not only the players, but the coaches. And he challenged us as coaches every day to get better, asking why we're doing it a certain way. What is the purpose of this? How can you get your players better? And it's funny because he stood over you at practice while you're doing your drills. And after you finish up, you thinking, man, did I do a good job? Or, what did Coach Broadway think about it? And it probably took me about 3 years before I realized Coach Broadway thought I was a pretty decent coach. So, it made me feel better. And then from there, going in with Coach Washington and just his demand for the things that he wanted and his expectations and wanting excellence. And so learning from those two gentlemen during that time, and then to go along with all the other great coaches that I worked with while I was there. Trey Oliver was there when I first got there. Sean Gibbs was there. I actually coached Denzel Jones, that is the defensive coordinator at A&T now. Courtney Cord was there with me. Ron Mattis. So it was some really, really good coaches. Chip Hester, who's a head coach in North Carolina now. So a lot of guys that have gone on to move on and do great things. So I'm just blessed I'm able to carry some of that, some of those things we learned while we were there at A&T, and, the success we had winning championships. You can't beat it. That's when it's fun. And even, when you go into the Celebration Bowl and getting a chance to compete against the best and play on a national stage, that was something I really enjoyed. And I think our whole staff enjoyed being able to go do that.
That's awesome. Now, Coach, your next couple of stops, you were at South Carolina State, you're at Alabama A&M, Fayetteville State. All those stops, you were a defensive coordinator. Now, what did those stops kind of add to your coaching philosophy? How did they kind of help your coaching philosophy being the D coordinator at those places?
I think the first thing is it allowed me to build my brand as a defensive coordinator and kind of do things a little bit more my way. And, it definitely changed my philosophy because I got to the point where, and it may sound crazy to say, I told the players, hey, man, make it my fault. if we're not doing and executing at a high level, put it on me. And now I can correct those mistakes and the issues that we're having because I know what I need to do. And it allowed the players to just play. And so over the course of that time, we got better. And, it's crazy because I was there for 1 year, one season with those stops. But it was something that allowed me to grow as a coach and challenged me to be better because every year I was having to start all over and teach a new group and get them prepared and make sure that they're ready to go out and execute. So it made me so much better at all three of those places. And then getting to work with great head coaches and, being able to work with Coach Pugh there at South Carolina State and just see how he went about business and the things he demanded from his staff. And then going to Coach Maynard, who is another guy that does a lot of things and really good football coach that won a whole lot of football games, not only as a player, but as a coach. And then Richard Hayes, the success that he's had at Fayetteville State and just seeing how he did it, and is doing it at the Division II level, which led me to coming back to Division II. I think that helped me big time, just being able to transition and find ways to do things that are very creative.
Oh man! Now you waited more than 2 decades to be before getting your first head coaching gig. Now that you've gone from coordinator to head coach, what do you think is the biggest difference between being a coordinator and being a head coach?
I got to deal with all calls now. So whereas a defensive coordinator, I would look at the head coach and say, "Man, I'm glad that's not me." Well, now it's me. And, I'm excited about it because learning from those great head coaches, I got to see the different ways that they handled it in different situations. When there's things that have to be paid for or there's a situation that happens with the team or something has to be organized, all that stuff goes through me now. So, I've been blessed that I got to do a lot of those behind the scenes things with the different staffs that I've worked on. And so now it's like, man, I got to make that final decision on everything. And so I think I'm prepared for it. We've done a good job so far with the staff that's come in, and it definitely is different. I'm the one that's got the long nights. I think some more of the gray is coming in my beard and in my hair, but it's all fun, and I can't complain about it.
All right, now, Coach, you talked a little bit earlier about one of your assistant coaches, and I think what everybody in Tigerland, they kind of want to know is who all's on your staff. Who are some of the coaches who are helping you out? Coach, when you put this staff together, what were the qualities that you were looking for, Coach?
And as I shared with you guys on the sit down, I'm looking for teachers. I'm looking for guys that can do a great job of communicating with young men and prepare them to be great, regardless of the circumstances or anything else. And I think I really was able to do that, getting guys that were technicians at their position, getting guys that know the state of Georgia, in recruiting and this surrounding area. And that was a big thing for me, making sure, hey, I can't recruit everybody in the state. I know a lot of the people in the state, but I can't go out and see everybody. So I got to have guys on my staff that I know can go out and get the job done, in the recruiting aspect, in the classrooms as they're meeting with the young men and challenging those guys academically as well. And so I think I did a good job of it with the guys that we brought in and that I was able to get here to Savannah State.
Now, Coach, everybody likes to see points on the board. They like to see the numbers run up. So let's talk a little bit about the offensive side of your staff. Let's start off with Coach Burrell. Coach Quentin Burrell, he's your offensive coordinator, I think. Now, tell us a little bit about Coach Burrell and your offensive staff, Coach.
Right. Well, Coach Burrell is going to come in. He's coaching the quarterbacks, assistant head coach, as well as offensive coordinator. I've known Coach Burrell for a long time. He actually has got a defensive background. He played safety at Notre Dame and played a little bit professionally. But since he's been coaching at the college level, he's been coaching on offense. And so he definitely has been prepared. He worked with Coach Fobbs there at Grambling for a long time, and then he went on to Southern and worked with some really good people to go along with coming up in one of the historical programs here in the state of Georgia. He's a graduate of Southwest DeKalb High School. And so, he played for Coach Buck Godfrey and definitely learned a lot of good football there. And so Coach Burrell brings a wealth of experience, and I think he's going to do a good job. He's got an education, a background in education. He was actually a high school teacher there in the Atlanta area, and as well knew a lot of these young men already from his past of recruiting the state. But he is doing a phenomenal job of just putting things in order and trying to find ways to fit to the strengths of our players. And I think that's the most important thing we got to do. You know, everybody want to know about the quarterback, but we got to do a great job putting the quarterback in position so he can excel at whatever he does well. And Coach Burrell has done a great job of finding those things, and even with every player at all the positions, putting those guys in places so they can be great. And I think that's big. And, you know, Coach Burrell is doing a good job. And then from there, that kind of goes down into my offensive line coach, which is Jesse Dove, who's an experienced coach, has been around, coached a long time at the high school level, got ties down in Florida. He's originally from North Carolina, but very experienced, young, energetic guy. You're probably going to hear him at the games. He gets after it. And those guys are really taken to the way that he coaches and the enthusiasm and the excitement that he brings and the way he challenges them. So I'm excited for that connection between he and Coach Burrell to go along with, you know, our running back coach, Russell Ellington, who actually has ties here to Savannah State University. His grandfather actually is in the Hall of Fame here, in the Athletic Hall of Fame, was a longtime basketball coach here. And is from the Savannah area, so a lot of people know him. He does a great job in recruiting, but he's got a really, really good group of running backs, and he is on them with everything and making sure those guys are prepared. As well, my tight end coach, who's been here for a couple years, Harold Nelson, who works here in the city, one of the community liaisons, is a Savannah area native, and knows a lot of the people here in the city of Savannah, but he's done a great job with the tight end group, which is probably one of our better groups top to bottom. They're a little smaller, but he's got some really good kids that are in that group. As well, my receiver coach, and I talked about him earlier, Maurice Oliver, who actually is a graduate at Allen University, was there with us at Allen when we were there. And he's come in, he's got counseling background, was a counselor in the high schools. And so he's got over 20 years of coaching experience, coming in here and doing a great job teaching these young men and getting them better on the football field each and every day. To go along with some of the other coaches we got on offense, we got Randall Moss, who's been here for a long time, doing a lot of things. He's going to be one of my offensive assistants. He works with my video crew, but he's doing a great job and having fun flying around, coaching these guys up and getting them better. And it's great to have him on because he can do a little bit of everything, and he knows everybody on campus. So he helps us with all of the little things that are going on. To go along with Derry Pinkston, that was on the staff. He's working on the offensive side, helping out with the O-line. And then we got Jermichael Baldwin, who's working with the receivers with Coach Oliver, and he's doing a great job flying around, making sure that these receivers are getting the job done this year and working hard to get us better. So I'm excited about the offensive staff. We talk about putting points up. I expect them to score 50 every game. But no, they're going to do a good job putting it up. And I think the way they're putting these kids together, I'm excited for what we can do moving forward.
All right, now on defense, you have coaches with experience at several different levels. Now, what are your expectations on your defensive staff? Because you're a defensive coach, you know, you're a former defensive coordinator. So, what are your expectations for your defensive staff?
Man, I think they got to hold up to the standard, and I think they're doing a great job of it. You know, we talk about stopping the run, and that's where we start and bread our butter defensively, stopping the run, and we got to take the ball away. And so those are some of the things that I prided myself on defensively, you know, and getting us extra opportunities with the football, and then getting after that quarterback a little bit, you know, and getting some sacks to change the game that way. So I think with the group that we have, they are demanding on these guys. It's probably because I'm standing over there a little bit checking and watching. But no, they're doing a great job, man, getting after it. Starts with Clyde Grady at the top, co-defensive coordinator. Me and Clyde met years ago when he was a younger coach and has worked his way up. You know, he went to the NAIA level and won a lot of championships there at Georgetown College in Kentucky, and really did some really, really good things. Has playoff experience, has seen a little bit of everything as a coach. Does a great job with his secondary guys. We actually coached against each other when I was at Alabama A&M, so I got to see his guys work and the way that he went about business on the field. So he's doing a great job of preparing the back end to go along with one of my Savannah State alumni who played offensive line here, Cameron Brown, who I moved him over to coach the D-line, and he's doing a great job. He actually was coaching high school football here at one of the better high schools here in the city of Savannah. And so coming over, he knew a lot of the kids, got great relationships with people still on campus. And he's doing a great job coaching the D-line and just demanding excellence. And he's on those guys every day, each and every day with everything, and doing an awesome job of that. As well with my outside linebackers, I got Reese White, who was actually out at Cal PA, the University of California at Pennsylvania last year coaching, and I got him to come back home to Georgia. His family is from the Savannah area, but he's actually an Atlanta area native, graduated from high school in the Atlanta area, went on to play at Coastal, and now he's here with us and doing a great job with our outside linebackers. I also got one of the guys that's kind of familiar to me, just finished playing for me last year at Fayetteville State, Matthew Leach. And Coach Leach is doing a great job. Young guy, energetic, played linebacker for me, so he knows the standard and what I expect. And he is getting after these guys and getting these guys better. Leach had a chance to play in the Legacy Bowl, and I was able to steal him and get him back over here with me after he finished up. So I'm excited defensively with the guys that we have. And we got some other guys on our staff as well. I got to talk about Matthew Folks, who's our director of football operations. And actually, he is our player development coach, and he's doing a great job with player development coach, helping us with the spiritual end and the mental aspect of building ourselves mentally for the games and for, everything that they got to do on a day-to-day basis. As well, my director of equipment is James Gordon. And Coach Gordon has done a great job coming in, worked with him at North Carolina A&T, and he's got a lot of experience. Has been around, he's retired military, and he's getting the job done. The other guy that I can't forget is my special teams coordinator, Sean Thomas. And Sean is doing an excellent job. Experienced special teams guy, was a kicker in college, kicked and punted. I worked with Sean at Norfolk State for the little bit of time I was at Norfolk State, and we got really, really close. And so he's here doing a great job, man. I think I got a really, really good staff. And can't wait to get to this season, man, so you can see these guys go to work.
All right, Coach. Now, we talked about all the coaches, but the fans, they want to know about the players, Coach. They want to know about the players, who's going to be out there for their Tigers this year. You guys opened fall camp on August 3rd, and the first practice was August 5th. Mm-hmm. You entered the camp with somewhere around probably 95 players and about 50 newcomers. 15 plus transfers. Now, Coach, you had the opportunity to see this team go through fall camp. What did you learn about your team that you didn't know going into camp, Coach?
Man, these kids will fight. And I think the big thing, I challenged them as we were preparing to come back in. I told them all offseason, I said, look here, when you guys get here, I'm going to run the piss out of you. I'm going to make you guys work. And, it doesn't help that we down here in Savannah with this great weather that we have and all this humidity. And then we got these friends that hang out with us, man, that fly around and they'll hang out on your neck or your shoulder or be on your head. And so, those guys were really, really tested. The other thing that I shared with them the other day in one of the meetings, the good Lord loves football. And so we didn't get blessed with any rain as we practiced. So we got a chance to get a lot of good work in. And myself and the rest of the coaching staff, we pushed these guys to the edge so that now when we get to game time, we are good and prepared and ready to go. And so I am excited, and I got to see these kids fight and really get after it to show to me that they're going to be in great shape. And so those are some of the things that I saw right away before anything else. These kids competed and challenged me to give them more, and they stood up to the challenge.
All right, now, Coach, you got a large group of newcomers now. How quickly have these newcomers kind of adjusted to your way of thinking? And well, I guess everybody's new to your way of thinking, but how did some of these newcomers, these freshmen and transfers, adjust to Savannah?
I think they are coming along just fine. I think we got some that came along a little bit faster than others, and then you got some that are still working to pick it up. But I think as a whole, I think they did a great job, and that's everybody, because to all of these guys, this camp was brand new. They'd never done anything like it. They never heard anything like it. They never were pushed the way that we pushed them with every little thing we did. We talked about it in the spring, competing to be the first guy in the lunch line to get to your food. Well, we continued with all of that stuff and those competitions that we had. And shoot, man, those guys are fighting each and every day. I think we got a good group and a good mix at every position of a lot of talent. And so that picks up the practice and the mentality, because everybody wants to play. And so, those guys have been fighting in practice to get better. And I think that helped with me as I was competing or pushing these guys to hold up to the standard that we had.
Now, let me ask you a question. Now, you talk about competing and your different position groups. What do you think, which position group do you think impressed you the most, Coach? Which position group kind of stood out for you, Coach?
Well, I'm going to kind of say it happened in waves. Early on, it was the tight end group. But one of the groups that's really impressed me and gotten better, because it's a large group, is the running backs. And I think we got some different guys back there at running back that can do a little bit of everything. And so I was excited about that group and excited to see the different ways that we can play with those guys on the field, whether some of those guys can flex out and play receiver. Some of them will be in the backfield solely. Some of them you'll even see lined up at tight end positions because of the flexibility we have with that group. And it's going to be fun to see how we're able to use them, man. So those are some of the guys that you guys will see and be like, man, they put those guys everywhere and just let them go.
Now, Coach, we talked about your backs, but a lot of the conversation, especially the past few years about Savannah State, has been that signal caller, that quarterback. Now, that's one of the major position battles that you have coming into camp. Now, I'm not going to put you on the spot, tell you to give me your starter. I want to tell all you fans, go and buy your ticket. Yep. Go and buy your ticket. Make sure you show up to Orangeburg. Make sure you show up to Orangeburg on the 29th so you can see who's going to be the starting quarterback. Right. But what were you looking for, or what are you still looking for as a trade or a quality, or what do you need for your starting quarterback to be?
So before I answer this question, I'm going to share this. I've listened to Sly with so many things that he's been talking about, and the number one thing that he talks about with Savannah State football is who's going to be the trigger man and what are they going to do at quarterback. So I'm going to hit that first, and then I'm going to share with you guys the big thing that I'm looking for is somebody that can run the offense and command what we're doing and be a leader. Somebody who is not going to make mistakes. We can't give the ball away. Somebody that's going to be able to protect the football, put us in the right situations so we can be successful. He ain't got to be a world beater, but he's got to take the things that the opponent is giving to him and be very, very successful in doing so. And I think that the things that Coach Burrell is doing is allowing these young men to really be able to show some good things and put them in great position to make us successful on offense. So that's why I say they got to score 50 points a game now. Come on.
I like that. I like that. Now, Coach, this is a hard one, Coach. Now, if you had to describe this team coming out of fall camp, you had to describe them in 3 words, Coach. You cum laude, so I know you got 3 big words out there now, Coach. If you had to describe this team in 3 words, Coach, how would you describe it?
Physical is the first one. Because these kids are very, very physical, and they're not scared to hit anybody. The next one, and I'm saving this for as we get through this season, we're going to be battle tested now. And so I truly believe that. We're going to be physical, we're going to be battle tested, and again, we're going to play with discipline.
Discipline. I like that, Coach. I like that. Now, Coach, kind of leading into that, you got something very interesting. A lot of these teams, they have team logos or team sayings, team mottos. Well, you have something that you wanted to implement, and that's team. You wanted to implement team as your team logo or your team motto. Can you tell us a little bit about team?
Yeah, team is something that, looking at what we needed to do going into this season, and it's something that do with what had been going on over the course of the last some odd years here at Savannah State. And I said, we got to start with team. And so just breaking that down and kind of the way we broke it down, the T in team is trust. We got to be able to trust each other. We got to be able to, believe that my teammate is going to do everything that we asking him to do. And I trust he's going to be and have my back when I need it. The E is execution. We got to be able to execute at a high level. And in order to change the fortunes that we've had here at Savannah State, everybody has to be focused in on executing at their high level and making sure they can go out and get the job done. The A is accountability. And, that accountability is being accountable to myself, but also to my teammates and holding my teammates accountable and to the standards. And so those are some of the things that we talked about with that. The last one, the M, is mindset. And I think the first part of the mindset we got to have is a winning mindset. And so we talked about putting ourselves in position where we're thinking about winning at all things that we do. And so that's how we've been breaking a lot of things. When we run, we say win. When we stretch, we say win. And it's something, so that is in my mind. It's a mindset. And then to go along with that, that leads to a championship mindset. And that's what we want to do, win championships. And in order to do it, you got to think that way. So we kind of built it on that. That's where it came from for me. And the guys are buying into it. We got a little thing that we say, but we go through it, and those guys know it and taking pride in it and saying it with pride and making sure they know it means something. And I think it's going to pay off for us in the long run.
All right. Now, Coach, now we want to talk. You talked about all the good stuff in camp, but now the rubber meet the road in 3 days, Coach. Oh. 3 days you take on South Carolina State University, the Bulldogs from Orangeburg. Now, your coach, your AD and your president ain't doing you no favors. They brought in the defending national champions for you to play in your first ever game. So what does it mean to start the season off against a team like South Carolina State?
Well, first off, man, it's an honor. It's a blessing to be able to play against South Carolina State. They've done some really good things. I got a chance to see it from afar. Inside and then now from afar. But Coach Bear is doing some really, really good things down there at South Carolina State, continuing with the legacy and all of those things of what South Carolina State means to HBCU football. And, they're one of the blue bloods, and we know that. And so, it's exciting to see what they're doing right now. But for me, it's a little different because, and I've talked about it previously, that's my family school. My parents went to school there. They met at South Carolina State. My wife is a South Carolina State graduate. And, a lot of my family went to South Carolina State. So it's a big game for me. I've been on the other sideline going in there when I was at A&T. And so it is definitely a great atmosphere to play in. And so I'm excited for my kids for the opportunity. Yeah, we got to go in and play the HBCU national champs. But, hey, we got to play. And that's the great thing about football. You got to line up and you got to put your pads on just like everybody else. And they got to do the same thing and go play. So I'm excited to go in there and play and compete against them. Like I said, we're going to be battle tested. And, going in to play the national champs to open up with a young team, it's going to tell us who we are. So I'm overly excited. It's going to be a whole lot of people in the game on both sides. I think the fact that we're close to Orangeburg, a lot of Savannah State fans and alumni will be in the building. A lot of Savannah State fans live right there in South Carolina. So we got to go put on a show. We got to put some points on the board. We got to stop people and get better and just worry about us. And I think that's the biggest thing that we got to do going into this game. But yeah, thank you to everybody. Welcome me to being a head coach. And so we're going to go have fun and compete. And they're going to have to deal with us a little bit.
All right, now, Coach, we're going to ask you a little bit of football questions for the people wanting to know. We got Teddy T536. Teddy T536 said, what does Savannah State have to do offensively to move the football against South Carolina State?
True. Offensively, we have to do a great job of giving them a lot of different looks and making them uncomfortable. And, I think that's how we move the football. I think we have to play to our strengths. We can't play to what South Carolina State does and their strengths. We got to play to our strengths with our kids, and understanding that I think is big. And yeah, they're big and physical up front. They got linebackers that run all over the place. I coach those guys, so I know a lot of the guys over there. In the secondary, they're very athletic and physical. So, we got to match their physicality. And I think that's where it's going to start for us. We got to go in and tell those guys, hey, we ain't scared of you. We're going to line up and fight with you just like you guys are going to fight with us. And that's going to allow us to open some things up. And then we got to hit them with some different looks and from different angles. And, we got to do a great job as coaches putting our kids in great situations to be successful, scheme-wise, being able to, play against that scheme and make those guys have to work a little bit and think twice about what they're doing.
All right. Now we got another question from PX325. All right, we got to get some real names out here, Coach. But PX325 wants to know defensively, What must the Tigers do to slow down the Bulldogs?
Man, we got to be opportunistic. That's where it starts. We got to take the ball away. And I think that's some of the things that steals some possessions and gets us the ball back. You know, we got to be able to stop the run, man. And I think that's a big thing. They got some big downhill backs. Josh Shaw is one of the big backs they got. And I know him there. He was a freshman when I was at South Carolina State, and he's doing some really good things. You know, Tyler Smith, another speed running back they got, has got some good speed, and he can really get downhill and do the thing. So we got to do a great job of playing great opportunistic football, but also just doing what we do and doing it well, because they got a good football team, man. You know, yeah, they're going to be bringing in a new quarterback, just like, you know, we are going to have a different quarterback. And so, shoot, we got to figure that thing out, man, and see what that quarterback that they play with, what are his strengths, so we can go attack it. And, you know, we got to take the ball away. You know, can't let them run the football, and we can't give up the explosives. I think that's going to be a big part of it for us, keeping those guys and slowing that game down so they can't just get up and try to run up and down the field on us.
All right, now, Coach, we're going to need a quick hitter right here, Coach, a quick hitter. We need, what are your 3 biggest keys to winning this football game, Coach? Give me 3 of them, Coach.
You need 3?
3 biggest keys to winning this game.
We got to stop the run. We got to protect the football. We got to win the kicking game. And that's it. We have to do those things.
There you go. There you go. Now, Coach, let's kind of move on from the game. You know, you talked about getting the Savannah State alumni and the Savannah community back involved with the football program. Why is that so important, Coach?
Man, I think that first off, we got to be able to put butts in the seats. And then I think the other thing is allowing people to see us and be welcome to come over here to Savannah State. And that's something that we've tried to do, going out in the community and doing different things and being seen and allowing people to come up and touch us, because sometimes, you know, people don't feel comfortable being around you because you don't welcome them in. And so, you know, we're trying to raise money and do all those things. But sometimes it's just saying, hey, how you doing? Come on over and see what we got going on and let you make the decision. And so that's what we're working to do. Trying to build a lot of bridges with people here in the Savannah and the Savannah community, because I think that that's important. First, we got to take care of home first, and we got to make people here in Savannah feel comfortable with us, so that now, as we reach out further, we get more people in, and that's a big part of it. So that's what we're working to do.
All right, now, Coach, what do you want the relationship between Savannah State football and the Savannah State community to look like?
Man, it's got to be a very open and warm community experience for all sides. And I think that's what we're working to do as we work to build. And I think, you know, as we win football games, that's going to help too, because now people are going to want to come to see, hey man, what is that coach doing? He do a whole lot of talking, but are they putting it on the field? And so that's going to bring even more people in that may still be on the fence with if they want to come and see what we're doing at Savannah State.
All right, now, Coach, we're going to close this thing out, but I want to ask you 3 questions before we get out of here, Coach. Is when you look at the first season, what would make you say at the end of the year we accomplished what we set out to accomplish? What would make you say that at the end of the year, Coach?
I think as we go through this season, if we finish each and every game, and I think that's one of the big things that has happened in the past, where we've been close, but we ain't finished the game. So that's some of the things, you know, regardless of everything else that's going on, at the end of that game, we got to finish, man. And I think that's a big part of it that we got to do each and every week. And that's going to allow us to see that improvement. And I think that's where it starts for us. And as a coaching staff, what we've been, you know, pushing and fighting with for these young men to understand, we got to finish.
All right, now, another question about Saturday. What is your message to the Savannah State players as they prepare to walk into Oliver C. Dawson Stadium?
To enjoy the experience and then go have fun playing. And I think, you know, it's nothing like playing in Oliver C. Dawson Stadium. It is a lot of excitement. The band's going to be rocking. The fans are going to be on top of you. But the cool thing is we're going to have a whole lot of Savannah people in there too. So enjoy the experience and go have fun. That's why you play the game. And so that's what we've been talking about. And I've been saying to these young men the whole time, hey man, you play this game because it's fun and you can go get after it and have fun each and every play with your brothers. So that's what I'm, you know, pushing to these young men to understand.
All right, Coach. And now, finally, what is your message to Tiger Nation, Coach?
Oh man, come out and support us. Let's have a great year. Get your season tickets and come on and see us play. It is going to be a different brand of football. It's going to be a whole lot of excitement. We are not trying to do anything like you've seen before. We want to make you guys excited about Savannah State, University, as well as Savannah State football program. I know we've been down for a long time, but we can't go nowhere but up. And so what we're trying to do is bring you back, welcome you, former football players, all the alumni. Come and see us and see what we're doing down here on the march.
All right. Well, we love it. We love it. He's Coach Thomas Howard. We appreciate you for joining us here on the Coach Thomas Howard Show. We want to let all you Tigers know that we open the season Saturday, August 29th, Orangeburg, South Carolina at 6 p.m. at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium. We take on the South Carolina State Bulldogs. We need everybody out there. We need blue and orange to fill up Oliver C. Dawson Stadium. We need everybody out there to support Coach Howard and his Savannah State Tigers. Well, I am Sylvester Williams. He's Coach Thomas Howard. This is the Coach Thomas Howard Show here on HBCU Game Day. We'll see you next week.
Call down.